Welcome back. It's Lauren and Alex.
Hello.
Hi. So this week, I'm really excited because one of our kids made a request video.
Yay.
And I know, and requested to talk about anxiety. What is anxiety? How do other people experience anxiety? And I thought it was a really cool question. So I just want to first say we keep everything confidential. So if you guys have a request for us, we won't name you by name, but we're always excited to hear about what you want to learn about.
Mm-hmm.
So let's dive right in. What is anxiety? Anxiety is a mental and physical reaction to perceived threats. So if you think about humans evolving, we needed this skill. We needed this to learn how to avoid dangerous things so that we could keep growing and evolving. And in small doses, even today, anxiety can be helpful. It protects us. It focuses our attention on problems that we might need to work on. But when anxiety is too severe, too big, happens for too long or too frequently, it can become really, really unpleasant and make it difficult to live life.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to give a few examples because saying anxiety isn't all bad sounds weird. Like it sounds weird. It sounds counterintuitive. So for example, if you're anxious about an upcoming test, it might motivate you to study more because you don't want to do bad, so you're more prepared. But it can easily get out of hand. So same scenario, you're anxious about a test, but you're too anxious to study. That's when anxiety is no longer useful. Another example that I've heard about is if you're anxious about bike riding, like bike riding around your neighborhood, it may help you to pay more attention to the road, which would keep you safe in some circumstances. But again, if you become so anxious that bike riding isn't even fun anymore, you don't even enjoy it, it's no longer useful under those circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
So what does it feel like? We're here to tell you that we have both experienced anxiety, and it is unpleasant, and there are some similarities in our experiences and other people's experiences, but everyone is really different and individual. So if you relate, that's really cool, and if you don't, that's totally okay too. And we encourage you guys to talk to your therapist or another trusted person in your life to kind of explore that more for yourself. So we're going to talk about our experiences, but first, we want to show you this really cool video with just a bunch of different examples of what anxiety is like for other people.
Mm-hmm. All right. So yeah, I really enjoy that video because like Lauren was saying, it really helps you understand that not everyone's anxiety is going to look the same, and that's totally normal. So I'm going to talk a little bit about my experience with what it kind of feels like when I'm feeling anxious. And I noticed that I feel like my cheeks getting really hot, my body tenses, but it's like mainly in my neck and my shoulders. And I definitely get more irritable and a little bit more short. I tend to be a little bit more sensitive. I think my sense of humor kind of goes away when I am feeling really anxious, and I definitely have a harder time focusing. I also tend to isolate myself a little bit when I'm feeling anxious and overwhelmed, but I am able to notice these things now. So when I start to notice these things happening to myself, like in my body, I try to tell someone. I tell someone if I'm with people that I trust and I'm in a situation where it feels appropriate, I will let them know. And I feel like that's a really good step, is when you're able to start picking up on what your body feels like when you're feeling anxious, or, oh, I'm feeling a little short all of a sudden. Maybe you take a second to really think about it. I think once you're able to be more in tune, it's helpful to kind of navigate more where you're at with your anxiety.
Absolutely. I love that paying attention to our body and our patterns makes it easier to manage a little bit, because you at least know a little bit more about what's happening and what works.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, like, I related to when you said you get really tense right here and in your jaw and in your neck. Like, I have that experience too. I also feel like I'm really restless, like comfortable anywhere, and it feels like my skin is too tight and I want to move, but I don't want to move.
Mm-hmm.
That's uncomfortable. And I also notice sometimes my breathing is faster or shorter and my heart's beating more. Sometimes it makes my stomach feel upset or nauseous or not hungry or something like that. And then I also related to you when you said that you felt like a little bit more irritable and more sensitive. Like, I noticed myself just like edgy, like just more edgy, and like just not as go with the flow as I normally am. And then the last thing that, you know, I'm starting to notice about myself is when I'm experiencing like physical anxiety, my thinking is more negative than usual.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and like, I'm also really grateful that getting to learn more about myself and have safe people to talk to helps me learn like what's going on for me and what can I do to make it a little bit easier for myself. I think that's a huge gift.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's also important to remember that it might not look the same every single time that you're feeling anxious. And you might not have very many of the same feelings that we get, but if anything, it will help you realize that it looks like a lot of different things depending on who it is, and maybe it'll help you kind of realize what someone else is going through if it's not maybe necessarily related to you individually. So I think it's just a helpful conversation to kind of keep going. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I did also want to talk a little bit about what to do when you're having this anxiety. Like, how do you soothe your anxiety, or how do you function with it? And yeah, and like I said, like, everyone has different triggers, and identifying them is one of the most important steps to really learning how to manage your anxiety or to cope with your anxiety. And I think negative thoughts can take root in our mind, and it can really distort the severity of a situation. And one way to really challenge your fears is to really like question yourself, ask, is this true? And see if you can really take back that control in your mind. And I know it's easier said than done, and it all takes a lot of practice. And it's also something that you could work with your treatment team on if you feel like it would be helpful. But yeah, that's one thing that I think really sticks out for me, at least. And then some other things are try breathing in 4 counts and breathing out 4 counts for 5 minutes total. And that's actually supposed to help slow your heart rate down, which will help kind of just calm down your whole body and everything. So I know some people do breathing exercises. Another thing is aromatherapy. So that could look like an incense or a candle or essential oils or anything like that. They could be like lavender, chamomile, and those are just very soothing. And those can help not only with anxiety, but like if you're just wanting to relax at the end of the day. And then I think it's just important to take time and focus on your body and note it. Maybe take that time to really think about like your physical body. What is your physical body need, because sometimes that's really what your body just needs, like, I don't know, a weighted blanket, or your body needs to go on a walk. And a lot of the tips that I use or have, we've already given you for like other scenarios.
Yeah.
It all kind of relates. Like,
Yeah.
we talked about in another video how writing down things when you have thoughts going through your mind, if you write things down, that's helpful. All those things that we've been giving, all like the advice we've been giving, a lot of it can relate back to anxiety, and it can help managing the anxiety. So I think it's just something that, again, like a lot of things we talk about, will be a continued conversation, because it's not as simple as, all right, do this and it'll be better. It's not. It takes work, it takes practice, it takes trial and error. So some of the things that we suggested might not be helpful for you at all, but for other people, it might be super helpful. So I just think we want to make sure to keep the conversation going. And like Lauren said, reach out to your treatment team if this is sticking with you, or if this is something that you could use a little extra support with. So yeah, thank you for tuning in, and a special thank you to the requester of this video. And we would like to encourage everyone to go ahead and send us any requests that you do have. And again, it'll be anonymous, but we really like hearing from you guys. And I think that's the most beneficial way for us to help you guys all out. So thank you.
Thank you.